And we're live, Turlings! Happy Saturday! Anyway, ooh, it's getting hot. Jeez, nuts. Oh my goodness. Ooh, so, how do you like the new wallpaper? Isn't that cute? I feel like if I was a librarian, I'd be really mean. I'd be the type to be like, shh, be quiet. It's a library. Or like, not give a shit. I don't know. It's gonna be like on one extreme or the other. But that would be fabulous to have your own library, like your own collection of books. It doesn't have to be like expensive books or rare books. It's just books that make you happy. Like when you open it and you feel the page in your hands, it like transports you to a different place. Those kinds of books. Yeah. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, I just realized the wallpaper, the character in the wallpaper has like two different types of, or two different lengths of socks. Actually, recently I went to work and I didn't realize I had on a black sock and a navy blue sock. But if you're standing in the sun or somewhere that has like a lot of light like shining down on you, yeah, the difference in color would definitely be palpable. And they were. But you know what? Sarsci ran with it because Sarsci's gonna do what Sarsci's gonna do. Anyway. So how is your week? Talk to me. My week, as you have seen on my other new series, um, Life Sardonic Tang, and that is my series about work life. Work life. As a hiring manager, as a worker, as a everything else. I wear a lot of hats at work. Actually, I was thinking yesterday, I met up with old friends for dinner, and I thought that was really fabulous. Some of whom I hadn't seen in like, ooh, geez, nuts, years. And I say years, honey, like years. And it's I want to say I've recently just reconnected with, over the last few months. But regardless of which, it's always fun to reconnect with friends. Yeah? Well, the kind of friends that you actually want to reconnect with, because you don't want to be reconnecting with, like, other friends that, like, you're like, ooh, I need to cross the street kind of friends. Away from them kind of friends. Know what I mean? Just saying. So, Sarsci this week has been inundated with audits. We're in April now. Our fiscal year is going to be ending. The last year's fiscal year that started mid-year into middle of this year is going to be ending soon, which means my project that started last year will be ending soon. And then I have several projects that are, I actually have two major projects, I think three, that will be starting this new fiscal year as it begins, but that's in a couple of months. So, anyway, enough about work life. Let's start with. So, I started with. You guys realize I don't really have a script, yeah? I just talk. That's what Sarsci does. She does a lot of streams of consciousness. She just talks. Anyhow, so again, to make it a little bit clearer, the series is you listening to me vent, as always, as I navigate real life adventures or highlights, one glitter bomb at a time. Because what else is there to do? You throw glitter in people's faces. Not literally, okay? Don't do that. Um, and then, I mean, it's not like I walk around with a wand. And then you just say life is a fabulous thing. It's a fabulous day. Even though you're not having such a fabulous day. But you put it out in the universe. It's a fabulous day. Glitters for everybody. Everybody have truffles. Something like that. Oh, I love truffles. And then it starts to get better. Mm. And as you know, Sarsci is all kinds of fabulous, honey. Mm. Yes, darling. She's all kinds of fabulous. So today's fabulosity, and I think I'm vacillating between calling the episodes moving forward like today's fabulosity. It's like still sticking with Little Miss Sarsci's fabulous life, and then today's fabulosity is whatever that fab adventure is for Sarsci. But our first ever fabulosity is something that a lot of people do dread. What is it that you dread going to? Being made to go to? Ooh. I actually talked about this a lot. Because I was like, you know what? Am I the only government worker that's not getting sent to go to jury duty? Yes, honey, it's jury duty. A lot of my coworkers are actually going. No, literally. Like nearly everybody in the department were getting summoned to go to jury duty. And I'm like, ooh, why are they skipping Sarsci? What, do they know something about Sarsci that Sarsci doesn't know about her? Just saying. Just saying. But, as they say, your turn will come, and Sarsci's turn came, honey. Sarsci's turn came. And I was like, what to do? What? I didn't even get sent to, how you, in the summons, it tells you, I don't know if you're familiar with it or if you've received one before, but you get a letter. It tells you, your juror name, obviously, that's your legal name. And then your juror ID number, your PIN. So when you log into their website of the courthouse, it you can be notified if you have to report to the courthouse on your notice tomorrow or the next day, whatever. So anyway, you're kind of locked in for a whole week, but not in person. You just have to call every day until the week is ended for you. I mean, if you don't get called that whole week, great. Congratulations to you. All kinds of glitter bombs coming your way. Yes, honey. But Sarsci got called. I know. I know. I know. For all of the times I have said, you know what, Sarsci is getting skipped on over for this jury duty thing. Ooh. Sarsci got cold, honey. She got cold. I was like, ooh, I guess it's my turn. But since it was my first time ever going to or reporting to jury duty, I was like, what do I do? And I was kind of confused because I called the weekend prior, and because I had asked a lot of my coworkers. So if you're say for example you're starting, because it's Monday through Friday, I believe that's generally the schedule, the block of schedule that you're given is Monday through Friday, and then you call every night, depending on what it says on your summons, what time you should call between whatever time to the cutoff the next morning or something. But obviously you want to call as soon as I did it every 5 minutes after the call in time every night. So um excuse me. Honestly, this cough is just like, it's one of those like insidious coughs where like you just go on a straight like stream of consciousness, and then suddenly the cough just goes like takes a hold of your neck and starts itching it, and then drives you to cough. Just saying. So anyway. Oh, so cute. Okay, sorry. I was typing up a hello, darling. Somebody's watching me. This is so cute. It's so cute. It's such a fabulous thing when people are actually watching live. I know. I need to interact more, yeah. But that's really clever though. When I like, when I see people like watching, and then I see like a little bing, like somebody left a comment, it gets me so excited. It's so fabulous. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So anyway, I called the weekend before, and then I was like, oh, it said I don't have to show up on Monday. So not this month actually. It didn't happen this month. And I figured, oh, okay, so this is how it goes. So, like, that was my very first call, but I will give you guys a tip. For those of you who are calling the weekend before the Monday you're supposed to begin your jury duty, I suggest each time you log in to your juror portal, you take a screenshot of, like, the message that you get, like, oh, whatever your name is. You don't have to show up for whatever the date is. I take a screenshot of it because I was so paranoid. I didn't want them to say, "Girl, we were waiting for you on Monday, and you didn't show up." So, just saying, just to save yourself the drama, just in case, because things happen. I mean, the clerks could make an error. It's human nature to make an error. Just saying. So I call again the following day. For that following day, for the Tuesday, and unfortunately I got cold. And I was staring at this, I kid you not, I was staring at the screen for 5 minutes. Like I had a stroke or something. I was like, ooh, like so many thoughts were going through my head. And then I started Googling like the location of where I'm supposed to report to. And I was like, did you really have to send me to like a courthouse that's like at the edge of the county I live at? I'm like on the opposite end. I thought you were supposed to be, in my mind, and I could be wrong about this, I thought you were supposed to be assigned to like a courthouse that's like closer to your address. No, no, no. I'm telling you, they were having fun with Sarsci. So anyway, I was like, you know what? Oh, and it also said that there's no parking. I know. I was like, how's Sarsci gonna get there? A bike. Because we had to report super early. And I was like, ooh, what buses can I take? But the earliest bus that would go down to where I need to be so I can get a transfer was going to be leaving like my area too late for me to report on time to the jury duty. So the only option I had was Uber. Mm-hmm. And I was really hoping there would be an Uber driver that would be like, just randomly be available that day. And thank the Lord, there was an Uber driver. Oh, my Uber driver was so cute. He was this older gentleman who had migrated here some years back. He's French. And it was so cute because we started talking about he lives in France, in the city proper, and I was talking to him about previous vacations I've taken to his home country, and we were talking about local areas. and I was sharing with him like places I visited, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know that. I know, like and then he was giving me other tips on like, "Oh, if you like that one, then you can go check out this other place that's like nearby also, but still not touristy and not like so much like known so much." And I'm like, I thought the areas I hit up when I was there last weren't touristy. And he said, "Yeah, you're right, but we had we have a less touristy area that's similar to that." I was like, "Oh, hello." Taking notes over here because Sarsci's got to go check that out. Um, anyway, so that was a really fun ride. My Uber driver was very respectful. He was really funny, and of course, it helped because we had something in common, which is obviously France, and the food. And he did ask me. It was so funny. He did ask me. So have you visited the Sacre Coeur? And I said, "Ooh, child." Every time Sarsci's been in France, she tells herself, "You know, I'm gonna walk up those 200 plus steps to the cathedral." But then she starts hitting up, what do you call this? The French equivalent to Boots or Rite Aid or CVS. For skincare. Just saying. Because it's more expensive here where you buy it here, obviously. So I'm like, and I start walking around and like discovering places. And by the time I get to it, I'm like, oh, I'm leaving now. So, I don't really have time to climb like 200 plus steps. And I'm like, but Mr. Sar, I do get my steps though. Even though I'm not climbing up like to the cathedral, but I will have to make time for it. Um, when I visit next. I know. I don't have a time frame for that yet, but yes. I tend to visit, that's why. A lot of places outside of the actual city proper. I like it. The open fields, the open suburbs. It just, yeah. They have their local history and stuff like that. And hidden gems. Yes, love those. Anyway, so back to my jury duty. I know I have digressed and went off to the moon and back. So I got there in the nick of time. There was traffic, like, oof, traffic. And there was already a gentleman who was sitting outside on a bench. And because it was so odd, because they hadn't yet, I presume, they hadn't yet exchanged the name or changed the name to the current name of the courthouse on my summons. It was this really long name. They just kept on going. And at the actual building, the courthouse building, it was a different name. So I asked the gentleman who was like sitting on the bench, and he was kind of snooty about it. He was like, "Did you check your summons?" And I'm like, "Yes." And Google Maps brought me here. I Ubered. And he was like, "Well, I guess this is the place." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm very sorry to have taken up your time away from your coffee. Thank you for the info." And then he had like this parting shot of, "Well, next time, just call the courthouse and ask, did you change your name?" And I'm like, good idea. But you didn't have to be so snarky about it. Ugh. Anyway. So I go inside, and there was like, of course, courthouses have a lot of like police officers there, and you go through the metal detectors and things like that. And there were a lot of people already. I didn't know that they were actually in my group of jurors. There was like a ton of them already. I think I was like 20, number 25 or something. Because they were like, one of the police officers was counting out loud how many people were going through the metal detectors. Um, so I think I was 25 or 26. I can't remember now off the top of my head. That was like last month. Anyway, So I'm like, oh my goodness. And it was like massive. This building is massive. But like in their lobby, it was like this wide open space that was just so odd. I'm like, what's supposed to be in this central area? It's just a massive. And then I started imagining, maybe they could put a library in the middle of the courthouse. I don't know. Like a little coffee house, have your cake, have your coffee, have your tea, chit chat, talk about whatever it is you need to talk about at the courthouse. Just saying. Um, oh, this was a, what was that? What were we called? I forget. It'll come to me in a second. Anyhow, so I get to the area where we were supposed to meet, like check in. You check in with the clerk, and the clerk was very nice. She was very cool. And then it was a really large area. They have like a kitchen in the back, even if you wanted to use it. They have like if you didn't want to go to the cafeteria, there was a kitchen in the back where they have the juror panels are, and you can use like the microwave and things like that. What they didn't have was like a water station where you can refill your like water tumblers and things like that. So unfortunately though, because it was my first time, I forgot to ask my coworkers, can you actually bring food from home? So I didn't bring anything. I mean, I brought my ID and like pertinent information and things like that, but that was it. And I didn't even ask like, oh, can I bring a charger, things like that. I didn't have my charger. I literally didn't. So I was like rationing using my phone while I was there. I kid you not. I kid you not. Sorry on that note, as I remembered, I had to um, charge my phone. So anyhow, so like we were there super super early, and I expected to be there until like, I don't know, end of business. I think end of business for most courthouses is 5 p.m. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about it. So please do not quote me on that. But um, so like by 9, we got the roll call by like 9:35 or 37. Yes, I wrote it down. And then the lady actually called, the clerk was like, oh, I'm gonna call the first group and then the second group. But she didn't indicate though if the first group was going to be the group alternate juror group, I believe that's what they call it, or the primary juror group. She just said, you'll be in first group or second group. So I was in the first group. And then she said, okay, you guys can like, take your seats back down. That's it. And I'm like, okay, all right. Anyway, and then by like 11 something, she gave an announcement of, oh, the you have been assigned to a courtroom in the building, but it's not ready yet. And I'm thinking, oh, is it kind of like, when you go into the movies and like the theater is not ready yet because they're still cleaning it? That's what was going on in my mind. Like literally, I'm like, oh, they're still cleaning it. I mean, I didn't realize like you could bring food in there, like popcorn or something, where they would be required to like vacuum. But I digress. Just saying. And then come like, I think closer to 12, a few minutes later, shortly after that, we were sent to lunch. Yes, we were sent to lunch. We did have an extended lunch because according to the clerk, before we left to like, disperse, find lunch in the vicinity of the buildings or whatever business is around, um, I just made it easy on myself. I went to the cafeteria that's already in the building. I knew it was going to be expensive, but you know what? I wanted to be available. Like, I didn't want to rush through traffic to get back to the courthouse, just in case they call us like earlier than the time that the clerk had given us for like lunch and stuff. So, according to the clerk, the judge was not ready yet. I don't know what that meant actually, and I went to lunch, like literally, and there were already like people there suited up. You can tell who was there, who may potentially be the plaintiff or the defendant, and then who was like um, their lawyers, and there were obviously a lot of police officers. There were a lot of different people, clerks that work in the courthouse and things like that. So, but again, working in the government, it's not anything like new for me because we have that at work too. Um, I just don't work in the law enforcement or the defender's office. Just saying. Could you imagine Sarsci as a lawyer? Ooh. Mm. Oh, I couldn't imagine myself one. Anyway, so to lunch, had fun by myself at a table until this lady sat across from me at the table and she started having a really loud conversation. Don't you love that? When like somebody you're having fun at your table, just minding your business, not playing anything because again, I was rationing the amount of minutes I can use on my phone at a time because I did not bring my charger. And bless her heart, but she was just like having such a really, really, really extendedly loud conversation, and I'm just like, ugh. So I say, hurry up and finish your salad, girl, and get on out of here. And I did. I felt like I chowed down that like salad. It was really good though. The salad was good. It was a protein salad. Chicken, bacon. Was it blue cheese? No, howdo. No, Parmigiano, I think. Trying to recall what it was. And then of course a ton of lettuce. So um it gave me enough energy obviously because I was just like I wasn't famished, but I was getting to like a hunger point. Um so by like 1:45 ish we got another announcement, and the announcement was the judge was still not ready. And then at that point in my mind, I'm thinking, did the judge forget us? Like, did the judge forget that he has like us waiting for him or her? A lot of things were like floating in my head. Like, are we supposed to go up there and introduce ourselves? I mean, how does this work? Obviously, again, it's my first time at jury duty, so I'm just saying. And I wasn't like angry at the clerk because it wasn't her fault. The judge wasn't ready, quote unquote ready. I don't even know what that means. We just kept getting that the judge is not ready yet. It's kind of like when you're on hold, when you're calling, say like your credit card company or something, or your bank, and you're on hold forever with loss prevention or something. Or some technician that you need to speak to correct some error in your account, but you're like forever on hold. Mm, 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 mm. And you get the same message. Thank you for calling, or thank you for your patience. Your number is whatever, whatever. Your caller number, something, something. Anyway, and then like I think shortly after 2 p.m., it was like there was a commotion in the lobby. Like we could hear it. It was so loud. And then I'm like, OMG, where are the fire exits? Like to this building. Literally. I mean, things go on in your head. And I'm like, if like that commotion was so loud, and then like you could hear um people screaming orders at somebody else, and somebody just screaming like, I have a right to be here and things like that. And it's a public land or something to that effect. And it turned out to be a unhoused gentleman who wandered into the courthouse's lobby. And although, like I said, the lobby was massive, there was no chairs to like sit on, there's no benches. I mean, there's pillars obviously holding up the building, but there wasn't anywhere where you could get comfortable. It's not like the train station, where you have uh, benches or whatever. This one was like bereft of anything, just big, huge, concrete, wide open space. Well, there's the glass windows, but just saying, and glass doors. Actually, don't know how thick those things are, but it kind of felt really heavy when I was trying to open them. Anyway, um, and then like that's when I realized that we had Karens in our group. Four of them. Yeah, I counted, and there was one Kevin. Yeah, I know, I counted too. So the clerk was like, cause she was inside this little vestibule. Um, she was reminding everybody to please stay in your seats, please stay in the room, please do not go out into the lobby and things like that. Of course, the Karens had to go get to the door and like eyeball what's going on. So they're kind of like reporting what they're seeing to the group. Don't know why. I felt like if you're gonna stand there at the door, you need to keep the door closed and just hold the door closed and lock it if you can lock it. I'm just saying. Uh, but because at that point, we didn't know that it was an unarmed person or armed person, whatever it was, the case was. And the Karen was like, so it's like it's a homeless guy, and he just like he looks so belligerent, like he's so angry. He just keeps saying that like he wants to find like somewhere to sleep or something, and this is like a big building. Why can't he sleep here? And in my head, I'm thinking, I can hear you, girl. I mean, we can all hear. It's concrete. It's bouncing off stones. It's bouncing off of like the echo. It's bouncing off of all the walls in this building. But I'm like, whatever makes you feel better about yourself. And then you could also hear the police officers, ordering, instructing the gentleman to please, sir. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to sleep here. Use this as a lodging, things like that. And you could hear him throwing things. Um, and the one of the Karens was like, "Oh my gosh, um, for whatever reason, I don't know why this Karen actually mentioned it. It was just like, oh, it's a darker skinned gentleman with like black people hair," and I'm like, excuse me. I think I just blurted it out loud. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, ma'am, the clerks are African American. Like, keep away from the door, because I actually sat close to the entrance to the holding area, because they have like these big TVs, but they're not big enough because Sarsci has like cook bottom glasses, so she needs to be able to see the damn screen. Anyway, so like even the clerk was like, "Ma'am, please stay away from the door, and please like um, refrain from making any statements that might be misconstrued, the meaning of." And she was like, "And I'm just reporting it to the group just in case that person, that perpetrator, comes in here and we need to provide a detailed description of him." And in my head, I'm thinking, wow, these people have been watching a lot of work, Law and Order. Just saying. Like, ugh. After some time, after like about 10 minutes, the whole place was calm again. Um, the gentlemen had on their own left the building on their own cognizance, and the little Karens have gone back to their seats, and I just started like jibber jabbering, talking to themselves, sometimes loudly, sometimes not. And I'm just like, you know what? Well, for a second there, I thought I was a Walmart. Just saying. That was my first encounter with a Karen. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, and then also, so like around, I want to say, nearly 4 p.m. is when, so funny, the clerk again announced, oh, so it's nearing the end of business, and I actually now have to go. I kid you not. I now have to go up to where the judge's office is, and hopefully try to catch the judge, because it, the judge has to literally um, let you guys go home. Like, he has to discharge you for the day, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, so if the judge forgets to discharge us for the day, are we gonna sleep here? I mean, I did not bring any change of clothes. Just say, I mean, I even didn't have my like charger. Anyway, so I think she did go up to whatever floor was the judge was in, and then she came back down, and she was almost out of breath. Poor thing. Um, and she announced again, okay, you have been discharged from jury duty. We have been told that your presence is no longer needed. You don't have to report tomorrow. You don't have to report for the next 12 months if you're called again. Um, and this ends your jury duty service for like a period of 12 months until you get called again, obviously. And then I'm like, wait, what? Did we just sit here, stare at each other, and then, for a blip, had the Karens and they're, yeah. I mean, I don't know how like the courthouses work, but we were there for nearly the whole day, and I felt bad for the other people who are there. Although I didn't speak to very many of them, there was one person who sat next to me briefly, and um, was like, "Oh, hey, whatever," introduced themselves, and told me that they work at the company they work for, and I said, "Oh, great! How's that coming along for you? Um, I'm hoping that you're enjoying yourself." And then they asked me like, "Oh, where do you work?" And I told them the department I work for. They're like, "Is that a government department?" Yes. And then they like literally got up and walked away. I was like, okay, what? Do I have Ebola or something? And did not speak to me ever again. But it is what it is. Um, what do you call? I know that there were other people there because, like, when we were checking in the morning, other people were asking if they were getting compensated for their time. Obviously, I was because I work for the government, so it's one of the perks. What can I say? Sorry, I didn't write the rules. That we do get paid for our time being there for a regular salary, but the other people who were not, and they were hourly, they're working in a private sector and they're not covered for jury duty for their time. I felt so bad for them because it's like these people have families, these people have like people that they support and themselves or what have you, and just having our time wasted like that. Like, we literally didn't even go into a courtroom. We're just like in the holding area. I call it the holding area. I don't know what they call it, but and I felt bad for them because it's like shouldn't this have been, I don't know, kind of like scheduled ahead of time that you're not gonna need people, or at least like in the morning, when the powers that be had already made decisions that like would not require the presence of a jury. I mean, release them already, honestly. I think I was one of the few jurors there, potential jurors there in the group who was getting paid for my time there. But again, the rest of them were like not, so I felt bad for that. But so anyway, we got dismissed, and that is my jury duty adventure. So, what is your jury duty adventure? Like, how many times have any of you been called to jury duty? I heard from some of my coworkers that they get called like every 12 months. Somehow their name comes up. I thought it was a lottery, but hey, look, I don't know. I don't know how this works. Maybe like when you finally do get called the one time, then like you get pulled into the did report to jury duty, and then that pool kind of just like, I don't know, goes into a lottery bucket and your name somehow appears like every 12 months. I don't know. But I would love to hear what you guys' experience have been with like jury duty and things like of that nature. I know mine wasn't like all that kind of like adventuresome, but it was adventurous enough for me because it was my first time. So, just saying, I got to meet somebody from a different country. I got to chit chat with them about places that I've visited that they are aware of, that they are familiar with, and it's just like fun, and all the other like kinks that happened throughout that day. But oh, that's right. Um, my Uber was a little expensive. Yeah, but it was because of the distance. Again, hopefully I get something closer. But um, yeah, about that. I just hope that they actually have like um, what do you call this? Parking. I mean, I feel like the courthouses are open Monday through Fridays. They should have court courthouse courthouse parking for potential jurors and actual jurors already that got selected. Just saying. Just saying. Anyway, there's that. And I thank you for listening to me vent and sharing with you my jury duty adventure. It is Saturday and it is getting hot, honey. Getting hotter. Hopefully, you guys are doing something fun tonight or had a fun week. And the next few weeks and all the years and decades after that will be so much fun for you. Even more fun than the previous. Keep living your fabulous life, whatever that looks like for you. And if you get into, like, some dark clouds from time to time, just throw some glitter at it. Make it feel better. Make you feel better. Just saying. Every dark cloud has a silver lining behind it. Yes. And remember, you're a fabulous person. Because I said so. Of course you are. He. Alright then. That concludes our fabulosity of the day. That is jury duty. And remember to journey in gratitude. Good night, everybody. Be kind to yourselves. And I shall see you in the next episode